from World Athletics. The two relay teams booked their spot in Budapest following the revision of the qualification system by World Athletics. In another update, the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, has announced the suspension of a top football official, Awolu Babajada, from all football-related activities. The suspension was contained in a statement by NFF signed by its General Secretary, Dr. Sanusi Muhammad. Jada before now was a member of the newly constituted Interim Management Committee, IMC, of the Nigerian Professional Football League and PFL. In another update, Victor Osimhen has been ranked the fourth most prolific striker in Europe's top 5 leagues so far this season. Despite being out for 5 weeks due to a hamstring injury, the Nigerian striker has scored 7 goals in 8 league games so far, averaging a goal every 93 minutes in the Serie A. The 23-year-old is behind the trio Erling Haaland, Robert Lewandowski, and Kylian Mbappe. And on tennis, world number 1 Iga Swiatek beat Daria Kasatkina in straight sets to make a winning start at the WTA Finals. Poland Swiatek, 21, defeated the Russian 6-2, 6-3 to record her 46th straight set win this year on the tour. This is the most main draw straight set wins recorded in a single WTA season since Serena Williams, 66, and Agnieszka Radwanska, 46, in 2013. Zara Zenna, Freedom Radio.
The global news is coming to you from Freedom Radio 99.5 FM. You can send your comments, opinions, and watch us live on Freedom Radio Nigeria on Facebook.com. You can get the link to the page on our website, freedomradionig.com, or call us through this number, 082 444163. Welcome back. You're still listening to Freedom Global News on 99.5 FM with Hauwa Adamu Kiyawa. The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed November 2nd as the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. The date was chosen in commemoration of the assassination in Mali of Claude Verlon and Ghislaine Dupont, 2 French journalists, on 2nd November 2013. To this end, correspondent Mamatan Uba takes a look at the importance of the day and files in this report.
The day draws attention to the level of impunity crimes against journalists, which remains extremely high globally. On November 2, organizations and individuals worldwide are encouraged to talk about the unresolved cases in their countries and write to government and intra-governmental officials to demand action and justice for journalists. Between 2006 and 2021, over 1,200 journalists have been killed around the world, with close to 9 out of 10 cases of these killings remaining judicially unresolved. More than 70 journalists have been killed this year, and a record number of media persons are incarcerated today, while threat of imprisonment, violence or death against them keep growing. According to Reporters Without Borders, Nigeria is now one of West Africa's most dangerous and difficult countries for journalists, who are often spied on, attacked, arbitrarily arrested, or even killed. Some practicing journalists speak to Freedom Radio on the matter.
The importance of this day can never be overemphasized. It's coming on a time when practicing journalists in these countries like Nigeria are battling with different types of impunities and crimes against their profession, especially now that Nigeria is heading towards general election next year. And that is exactly when, cases of impunity against journalists are being reported.
Journalists need to feel safe when working. Journalists need to feel protected and not the other way around. In the recent years, there are increasing number of attacks and threats against journalists who are on the line of duty. But why? To what extent? So we need protection. We need to feel protected.
President of the Coalition of Civil Society Forum in Kano State, Comrade Ibrahim Weya, said civil society organizations and non-state actors are critical voices that should be heard on the issue of safety of journalists.
Journalism is a very important profession, and it's a very noble profession that we really need to respect because they do a lot of things. Like everybody knows that they are one of the people that constitute the fourth rhyme of the estate in democratic governance because they are considered as critical stakeholders as far as democratic governance is concerned all over the world.
A renowned mass communication scholar, Professor Umaru Pati, said journalist safety must remain paramount.
The journalist is a target for criminals. Look at Mexico. So far, from January to date, 12 journalists were killed in Mexico by criminals, drug barons. In some places, it may be drug barons. In some places, it could be political forces. In some places, it could be insurgents. In Maiduguri, we lost how many journalists to Boko Haram? I lost 4 or 5 journalists that I trained in University of Maiduguri were killed by Boko Haram. They were shot at close range by Boko Haram. So it's never easy.
The theme for this year focuses on internet transparency and the safety of women journalists. Muhammad Sanuba, Freedom Radio.
And on business, we have Abdurrahman Ado Baba with updates.
The governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, said the INERA has recorded 700,000 transactions valued at 8 billion since its inauguration on October 25, 2021. Emefiele said this on Today in Abuja at the 28th edition of the Afex Bank annual in-house executive seminar with the theme, Digitalization of the Money and Monetary Policy in Nigeria. He was represented by the Deputy Governor, Financial System Stability (CBN), Aisha Ahmed. The news agency of Nigeria reports that the INERA, CBN's version of the central bank digital currency, was inaugurated by the President Muhammadu Buhari on October 25, 2021. Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Adex Petroleum Company signed an asset transfer agreement on Tuesday to bring an end to the dispute surrounding oil mining leases 128/124 and 126/137. And NFC's Chief Finance Officer, Umar Aliyu, signed the agreement on behalf of his company, while the Managing Director for ADEX, Yong Hong Chen, signed for the oil firm. With the agreement, the protected dispute on OMLS 126/124, 126/137, operated by ADEX Petroleum Nigeria Limited, has finally been laid to rest. The production sharing contract for the blocks was initially signed in 1973 between NNPC and Ashland, but was terminated after 25 years. Abdurrahman Ado Baba, Freedom Radio.
And on the foreign scene, Kenyan President William Ruto says his country is sending more than 900 military personnel to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, to join a new regional force tasked with trying to calm deadly tensions fueled by armed groups. Muhammad Abdulkarim reports.
Kenyan President William Ruto today called the mission necessary and urgent for regional security and said he and the DRC's president had agreed on how Kenyan forces will work with the Congolese and other forces on dismantling rebels and peacekeeping in the country's troubled east. The Kenyan forces will be based in Goma, eastern DRC's largest city. The East African Community Regional Force, agreed upon by head of state in June and led by a Kenyan commander, also has 2 battalions from Uganda, 2 from Burundi, and 1 from South Sudan. Nairobi made its troop commitment a day after angry crowd set fire to a United Nations vehicle in Goma as frustration mounted over the advance of M23 rebels and the deteriorating security situation in the eastern DRC. Violence by armed groups has led to a diplomatic crisis between the DRC and neighboring Rwanda. The DRC has accused Rwanda of supporting the rebels, which Rwanda denies, and it has accused the DRC of backing another rebel group hostile to Rwanda. Meanwhile, the South Korean military said today that North Korea launched the highest number of short-range missiles in a day as Seoul retaliated to Pyongyang's latest barrage of weapon tests, further escalating tensions in the region. North Korea fired as many as 23 missiles of different types to the east and west of the Korean peninsula, including a surface-to-air missile into the waters of the east and west coast of the Korean peninsula, according to the South Korean Defense Ministry. Seoul Joint Chief of Staff said one of the missiles launched by Pyongyang was a short-range ballistic missile that landed close to South Korean territorial waters for the first time since the 1945 division. Muhammad Abdul Karim, Freedom Radio.
And with this, we've come to the end of today's Global News. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Hauwa Adamu Kiyawa. Have a wonderful evening.
This is